My fiancé is one of the country's top hypnotists, to accompany his cancer-stricken first love through the final stage of her life. He hypnotized me and made me forget him for 3 months. During those 3 months, he openly traveled with his first love, held a wedding with her, and promised to meet again in the next life. 3 months later, his first love was still alive, but I could no longer remember my fiancé. His eyes were bloodshot, his voice hoarse. I only asked you to forget me for 3 months. How could you end up forgetting me for a lifetime? Chapter 1. Nestor's first love had returned to the country. I found out the very same day. Nestor told me in a casual, almost indifferent tone, Victoria's back. She says she's in the late stage of cancer and only has 3 months left. She wants me to stay with her until the end. As he said this, he was brewing ginger tea for me, his face calm, not a trace of emotion showing. They had been apart for 5 years. As he once put it, 5 years. 1,825 days, no matter how deep the love was. It would have long faded. I was immersed in the joy of choosing our wedding photos and didn't think much of it. We were getting married the day after tomorrow. Terminal cancer patients should be with their families. Why is she looking for you? This isn't some movie. I questioned. It wasn't that I held any ill will toward Victoria. I had never even met her. It just felt like, when people are about to die, shouldn't they stay with their family? Her parents died in a car accident last year. She's all alone now. Nestor paused slightly as he stirred the tea, his gaze drifting for a moment. My heart skipped a beat, immediately catching the shift in his emotions. You feel sorry for her? Not exactly. Everything she said might not even be true. Nestor shrugged and brushed the topic aside. He handed me the ginger tea and gently ruffled my hair with affection. We're getting married the day after tomorrow. How do you feel? I rolled my eyes at him. No special feelings. Guess you got lucky. He smiled faintly. I really did get lucky. Looks like you're stuck with me for life. I'll love you forever. Nestor was a renowned hypnotist in the field of psychology, always composed and reserved. Even with me, he rarely said sweet words. But now, he sounded unusually sentimental, as if he were deliberately trying to prove that he would love me forever. I assumed he was just overly excited about the wedding, so I wrapped my arms around him and pulled him to help me pick the wedding photos. But he glanced at the time and said casually, "You choose them yourself. I don't understand this stuff anyway. There's something at the lab. I need to go." Chapter 2. Nestor changed his clothes and left for the lab. I noticed he hadn't combed his hair, and his tie was loosely fastened. Although his expression remained calm and his movements steady, there was an underlying sense of suppressed restlessness, like he was holding something back. I pressed my lips together and silently sipped my ginger tea. Later, I made a phone call. The woman on the other end replied respectfully. Mr. Nestor did not come to the lab. He only had someone deliver an unidentified item. I see. I hung up. Nestor had probably gone to the hospital. To the hospital where Victoria was. At 11 p.m., Nestor finally returned. He was holding a strange box in his hands, something like a music box. I sat on the sofa, watching him, my figure half submerged in the newly lit room. He froze for a moment. His gaze shifted before he slowly walked toward me. "You figured it out?" he asked. I nodded. We were both psychologists. We knew each other too well. The sudden sentimental words before he left, the uncombed hair, the loosely tied tie, everything revealed the unrest in his heart. At a moment like this, only that first love of his, now terminally ill, could disturb him so deeply. And in Nestor's eyes, I was supposed to be carefree and optimistic. I shouldn't be sitting silently on the sofa late at night like someone sinking into depression. So we both knew exactly what the other was thinking. Nestor sat down and placed the music box-like object in front of me. "What is this?" I asked. He didn't answer directly. Instead, he confessed where he had been. "I went to the hospital. Victoria really does have cancer, late stage. She only has 3 months left. She's pitiful. We grew up together. We once promised we would never leave each other. Now she's alone, suffering through all of this. I can't just walk away." Nestor spoke with complete honesty, so honest it almost sounded as if he believed he had done nothing wrong. I maintained my composure and responded lightly. "So, you agreed to stay with her for 3 months?" Chapter 3. Nestor fell silent. He reached out and gently touched the music box. As if hesitating, I asked again what the box was. He slowly lifted his head. His eyes were filled with conflict. And then he spoke softly, apologetically. Crystal, I won't hurt you. You just need to forget me for 3 months. After that, we'll still be a loving couple. Forget him for 3 months? I suddenly realized something and stared at the box. This is a hypnosis device? Yes, it's the latest hypnosis device developed in my lab. It can make you forget me for 3 months. The hesitation in Nestor's eyes gradually turned into determination. I knew he had already made up his mind, and once he made a decision, he would carry it out immediately. I didn't move. I didn't run. I just felt my nose sting, a wave of overwhelming sadness surging through me. I let out a self-mocking laugh and asked, "Since it's a new product, aren't you afraid it might malfunction? What if I forget you for more than just 3 months?" Nestor paused just as he was about to open the box. The determination in his eyes flickered back into hesitation, but only for a moment. He continued opening it. "I have confidence in myself. After 3 months, I'll come back to you, and you'll still love me." The moment he finished speaking, he fully opened the music box, leaving himself no room to waver. Suddenly, a burst of white light exploded, accompanied by strange music that overwhelmed my senses. I grew dizzy, and Nestor's voice echoed in my ear like a lullaby. "Crystal, I love you. I truly love you. But Victoria is dying. I have to accompany her through the final stretch of her life. Crystal, forget me. Forget Nestor. Nestor has never existed in your life." 10, 9, 8, 7, 6. His voice grew more and more distant, more and more blurred. I slumped crookedly onto the sofa. The last thing lingering in my mind was a name, Nestor. But who is Nestor? Chapter 4. When I woke up, it was already bright outside. I ran a hand through my messy hair and looked at the blanket covering me, confused. Did I fall asleep on the sofa last night? Who put this blanket on me? Could it have been my best friend? Just as I was thinking that, my best friend Nina called. She started chattering the moment I picked up. "Crystal, you're getting married tomorrow. I'll head over later and help you decorate your bridal room. Don't mess it up yourself. Your clumsy hands always turn your place into a garbage dump." Huh? Getting married? I was completely confused. I checked the caller ID. It really was Nina. The voice was unmistakably hers too, and only she would insult my hands like that. But how am I getting married? I'm getting married? What are you talking about? Huh? Nina sounded even more shocked than I was. "Crystal, did you hit your head or something? You're marrying Nestor. You don't know that?" "Nestor? Who's that?" I immediately denied it. "Stop messing with me. I don't even know any Nestor. I've been single this whole time." "You've been in a relationship for years. Are you messing with me? Go look at your wall. Who's on it? And your wedding photos, they're all in your house." Impossible. I got up and looked around. There were no photos at all. The walls were completely empty. Wait. There was a strange blank patch on the living room wall, with faint traces of glue still visible. It looked like there used to be a photo frame there, but it had been removed. I thought about it. It was probably one of my old self-portrait photos. Maybe I'd gotten embarrassed as I got older and took it down. "Nina, there are no wedding photos here. And who is this Nestor?" As I spoke, panic started to creep in. "You didn't set me up in some kind of ghost marriage, did you? We're best friends. How could you be this cruel?" "Ghost marriage my ass. Just wait, I'm coming over to deal with you." Chapter 5. Nina rushed over in a hurry, scolding me the moment she arrived. But I truly didn't remember who Nestor was, nor did I remember that I was about to get married. Nina grabbed my phone and showed me my own WeChat feed. 8 out of 10 of your posts are about him. Look for yourself." I checked. There was nothing like that. The most recent post was still from 3 years ago. "Happy New Year." Nina froze. She refreshed it several times, looking completely baffled. "Did you delete your posts? Or did Nestor delete them? Did you two have a fight?" I spread my hands. "I really don't know him." Nina studied my expression, then quickly made a video call to Nestor. The call connected, revealing a warm hospital room. The man called Nestor smiled calmly at the camera. "Nina, what's wrong?" "Nestor, Did you bully Crystal? She says she doesn't even know you. Nina deliberately positioned the phone so we were facing each other. I looked at Nestor. He felt completely unfamiliar. I had no recollection of him whatsoever. His gaze flickered as he stared at me without blinking, as if testing me, as if hoping for something. Hello, Crystal. Oh, hello. You must be Nestor? I responded politely. Nestor subtly let out a breath of relief, clearly satisfied with my reaction. I'm Nestor. We used to be lovers. You hit your head at home and forgot about me. When you remember me, I'll come back to you. As for now, my sister has cancer. I have to take care of her. I hope you don't mind. His eyes flickered slightly. Everything he said sounded improvised, which made me suspicious. Who is this guy? Why is he lying to me? Before I could question him further, the girl on the hospital bed behind him suddenly began coughing violently. Nestor immediately became extremely anxious. He waved at me briefly and ended the call. Nina was completely confused and annoyed. What does he mean? It's like you forgetting him isn't even a big deal. And that girl on the bed, his sister? Since when does he have a sister? The girl had been wrapped up tightly, wearing a hat, and had been quietly observing me the whole time. I didn't recognize her, so I shrugged it off. My brain's about to crash from all this confusion. Forget it, let's go shopping. No, something's off about Nestor. I'm going to the hospital to check things out. You stay home. Nina volunteered herself and rushed off to the hospital. She was determined to figure out what was going on. By the time she came back, I had already bought a pile of snacks and was eating while watching TV. The moment Nina walked in, she shouted, "Crystal, you still have the appetite to eat? Nestor is cheating. He's taking care of a woman at the hospital. Her name is Victoria. She's not his sister at all." I didn't even pause, continuing to stuff chips into my mouth. Don't know him, not involved, not interested. Nestor is your fiancé. He's arranging for her discharge. They're going to hold a wedding and go on a honeymoon together. Nina's face had gone completely dark. This was what she heard from the nurses. The nurses were all moved by Nestor, saying he was devoted to his cancer-stricken girlfriend, fulfilling her dreams, a truly perfect man. I thought about it for a moment, then burst into laughter. If Nestor really is my fiancé, and he's going off to marry another woman and take her on a honeymoon, then it just means I chose the wrong person. And if I chose the wrong person, then forgetting him, isn't that actually a good thing? Nina froze, left speechless. Chapter 6. Nina couldn't argue with me. But she wasn't satisfied. She went off again to investigate Nestor. Just 3 days later, Nestor held a wedding with that woman, Victoria. The wedding was simple, held in a church, with no relatives invited. It was just the two of them walking hand in hand, exchanging heartfelt vows. Nina showed me a secretly recorded video of the wedding, fuming with anger. Is Nestor insane? You, his fiancé, forgot him. And he just turns around and marries someone else. What the hell is he doing? Maybe he's helping the girl fulfill a dream. Didn't you say she has cancer? Marrying Nestor might be her wish, I said, analyzing it quite reasonably. Nina thought about it and got even angrier. She went to investigate again. This time, she came back and told me that Nestor had taken Victoria traveling, probably a nationwide trip, only coming back after visiting everywhere. And that turned out to be true. Nina could no longer find Nestor and could only wait for him to return before confronting him. I was more than happy with that. Nina finally stopped bothering me. For the next 3 months, I continued enjoying my carefree single life, happier than ever. Only occasionally, in the middle of the night, half asleep, I would habitually stretch my leg to the side and mumble, "Honey, hold me." Then I would suddenly wake up, staring at the empty space beside me. A strange sense of emptiness gnawing at my heart, my eyes even turning slightly red. So weird. Could it be haunted? Yeah, it must be haunted. So I moved in with Nina. We'd just live happily together forever. That settled it. Until the last day of the 3 months. I returned home to pack my things and found a package at the door. When I opened it, it was filled with photos, stack upon stack. Wedding photos, scenery shots, selfies, couple pictures. All the photos had one thing in common, only 2 people appeared in them, Nestor and Victoria. Their happiness and joy practically radiated from the pictures. Underneath the photos, there was also a letter. I opened it and saw that it was written by Victoria. Letter, Crystal. I don't know how Nestor convinced you not to cry or make a scene. I'm deeply moved by how generous you've been. I'm dying. These are the last things I'll leave behind in this world. I'm sending them to you, hoping you can feel my happiness and my reluctance to let go, and keep them safe for me. I've checked into a hospital in Beijing, waiting for death to arrive. Nestor has already set off to return home. He said he must go back today to find you. I couldn't make him stay. In the end, I still lost. Chapter 7. The letter was long and exhausting to read. What kind of lunatic wrote this? I tossed both the photos and the letter into a corner. I'd deal with them tomorrow. Almost at the same time, the door opened. That man, Nestor, rushed in, drenched in sweat, holding a music box. I frowned deeply. What are you doing? This is my house, Crystal. I made it back. In 1 more minute, you'll remember me. He sat down on his own and placed the music box in front of me. What is that? I'm calling the police. I snapped sharply. Instinctively, I felt repelled by the box. It didn't seem like anything good. Nestor stared at his watch without speaking. Just as I was about to call the police, he suddenly opened the music box. A burst of white light struck again, accompanied by that strange music invading my ears, making me drowsy. Nestor smiled tenderly. Crystal, I'm back. I'm still your fiancé. Let's pick a good date and get married. I've been missing you all this time. Actually, I knew that with your personality, you would never forgive me, so I had no choice but to make you lose your memory. Now, I'll make you remember me, but you'll forget all the unpleasantness of these past 3 months. During these 3 months, nothing happened. His voice was soft and soothing. As his countdown continued, my consciousness grew heavier. 10, 9, 8, 7, 3, 2, 1. At the final count, I suddenly opened my eyes, staring at the anxious yet hopeful face in front of me. So strange. He didn't find anything strange at all. Instead, his gaze was deep, filled with endless tenderness, enough to melt any woman. He called out to me, Crystal, you're awake. I love you. He pulled me tightly into his arms, as if afraid of losing me, speaking to himself in relief. It's okay now. It's all over. Let's get married. I blinked, confused and uncomfortable, and pushed him away. Then I asked, very seriously, excuse me, who are you? Chapter 8. This man is so strange, and I feel strange too. It's like I just woke up from a very long dream. And when the dream ended, there was a man holding me, calling me Crystal, asking me to marry him. How does he even know my name? Confused and wary, I quietly grabbed my phone, ready to run or call the police at any moment. The man froze. He remained in the position he had just held me in, stiffly sitting on the sofa. His eyes were wide open, his lips trembling uncontrollably. Then he lost his composure and pointed at himself. Crystal, it's me, Nestor, your fiancé. Nestor, don't you remember me? Seizing the opportunity, I quickly moved away from him, grabbed the baseball bat in the corner, and shouted, I don't know you. I'm calling the police. Crystal, I'm Nestor. Nestor was drenched in sweat. He hurriedly picked up that strange box again. Crystal, look here, look at the box. The box was glowing. It looked quite pretty, but I didn't like it. Nestor stepped closer anxiously, his forehead covered in sweat. That's impossible. You didn't remember me? Did the hypnosis device malfunction? That's enough. You're acting crazy. I'm really calling the police. I tightened my grip on the bat, but Nestor didn't care at all. He kept slapping the box, almost pleading, Crystal, let's try again, okay? You'll definitely remember me. He looked completely frantic, pointing the box at me, but I felt nothing. All I felt was that something was seriously wrong with him. I waved the bat and shouted, Get out! The police will be here any minute. Crystal. I don't understand why this is happening. Listen to me, we've been in love for 3 years. I can't live without you. And you can't live without me. We were about to get married. Get out! I showed no mercy. I was certain he was crazy, and I couldn't afford to back down or show fear. Crystal. Nestor's face turned pale, seeing how aggressive I was. He finally forced himself to calm down. He took a few steps back and managed to squeeze out a smile. Crystal. My name is Nestor. I've been your boyfriend for 3 years. If you don't believe me, you can ask your best friend Nina. Some time ago, you hit your head and forgot about me. And coincidentally, my sister got cancer, so I had to take care of her. Now I'm back, and I brought the hypnosis device. It can help you recover your memory. I'm not a bad person, really. Chapter 9. Nestor spoke with sincerity. I frowned as I looked at him, still not fully convinced. More importantly, my instincts rejected him the moment I saw him. I felt uncomfortable, sad, even. There was no way I would ever marry a man who made me feel like this. Still, to calm him down, I softened my tone a little. Let's assume what you're saying is true. You can leave now. I won't report you for trespassing. Nestor grew anxious again, clutching that box and hesitating. But in the end, he nodded. All right, the hypnosis device must have malfunctioned. I'll go back and fix it. He forced another smile. Crystal. Wait for me. I promised you a grand wedding. I'll keep my word. I said nothing, but felt a wave of disgust rise within me. After he left, my whole body relaxed, and I collapsed onto the sofa. That was honestly terrifying. Once I calmed down, I called Nina and asked her to come over quickly. When she arrived, I told her everything that had just happened. You forgot about these past 3 months again? Nina scoffed. Nestor really is your fiancé, but he cheated. While you lost your memory for 3 months, he married Victoria and took her on a honeymoon across the country. She let out a cold snort. And he's still saying Victoria is his sister? How shameless is that? What kind of normal person marries their own sister? I felt increasingly irritated listening to this. Wait. I really have a fiancé? My entire spotless life ruined by some lunatic carrying a weird box? Just as I was feeling frustrated, Nina noticed the package in the corner. A pile of photos spilled out. She grabbed them, took one look, and exploded in anger. This woman is Victoria. What does she mean by this? She sent these to you on purpose? As she kept ranting, she found the letter. After reading it, she was furious. Damn it! She's definitely trying to provoke you, acting all pitiful and innocent. What a manipulative pick-me! Nina's face flushed red with anger as she told me to read the letter. My head was spinning. What is all this nonsense? I simply turned and walked toward the bathroom. Nina asked what I was doing. I rubbed my arm helplessly. I just feel gross, like someone smeared something disgusting all over me. But I don't even know who did it. I need a shower. Chapter 10. After taking a shower, I finally sorted through my thoughts a little and calmed down. Nina was still fuming on my behalf. Nestor and that woman Victoria, those two are absolutely disgusting. They're just taking advantage of your memory loss. What kind of people are they? Seeing how angry she was made me want to laugh, so I analyzed it seriously. If Nestor really is my fiancé, and he went off to marry another woman and take her on a honeymoon, then it just means I chose the wrong person. And if I chose the wrong person, then forgetting him is actually a good thing. Hearing that, Nina froze. What are you spacing out for? I asked. She sighed. This is the second time you've said something like that. Maybe deep down, you've already let it go. You're right, if you chose the wrong person, then forgetting him really is a good thing. We reached a consensus. Me forgetting Nestor was a good thing, and since it was a good thing, of course we had to celebrate. Hot pot it was. After eating hot pot and going shopping, it was already dark, and we still didn't want to go home, so we decided to go sing karaoke. But halfway there, we were stopped by Nestor. He had clearly been searching for me for a long time. When he finally found me, he let out a sigh of relief. Crystal, I finally found you. I've had the hypnosis device urgently inspected. I came to see you. Have you remembered me? I'm your fiancé, Nestor. For some reason, I felt a surge of disgust and took a step back. Nestor, Watch your words. There is no intimate relationship between us. Even if there was before, there isn't now. Crystal, you still haven't remembered me? It's okay. Once I fix the issue, I'll definitely make you remember me. Nestor looked dejected, but he hadn't lost hope. Nina couldn't hold back anymore. Nestor, don't you get it? The point isn't her memory, it's that Crystal doesn't love you anymore. There's no relationship between you now. Nestor paused for a moment, then smiled. She will love me. She's just forgotten me. That's all. With that, he didn't continue pestering me and simply left on his own, probably in a hurry to fix that box. After that, he kept finding ways to see me, or at least call me, just to ask if I had remembered him yet. I responded coldly every time, and he would only smile gently. Crystal, you'll remember me eventually. When that happens, I'll make sure to properly deal with you. 7 days later, Nestor came to my house again, but this time, he arrived with anger burning in his eyes. Chapter 11. He stood in the shadows at the doorway, holding that box, looking almost like a ghost. Nina and I had just gotten back home and were startled by him. Nestor, what are you doing now? Nina snapped irritably. Nestor stepped forward slowly. His expression was calm, his tone equally calm, no trace of the passion or anticipation from the past few days. He questioned me directly. Crystal, you've already remembered me, haven't you? You're pretending to have amnesia. Do you have any idea how anxious I've been these past few days? I was so worried I felt weak all over, my hands and feet trembling, terrified that our future would disappear, and you're just pretending? What? His sudden accusation made my anger flare up. I responded coldly. Nestor, watch your words. I'm not pretending to have amnesia, and there will be no future between us. Heh. Nestor took 2 steps forward and held the box up in front of me. I mobilized my entire lab to run repeated checks and tests. There's nothing wrong with the hypnosis device. There's no way you wouldn't remember me. You clearly remember me. Yet you're toying with my feelings. You know I'm a serious person. I don't like this kind of joke. He stared at me, his expression filled with anger. I was so furious I almost laughed. That disgusting feeling, like something filthy had been smeared all over me, came back again. I stopped arguing altogether and directly called the police. Officer, there's a man stalking me. It's been 7 days. I'm about to lose my mind. The police immediately responded and headed over. Fine, fine. I never expected you to be this heartless. Is it just because I went to accompany my terminally ill sister through the final stretch of her life? She's dying. Do you really have to be this petty? Nestor's voice trembled with anger, clearly infuriated by me. Before I could respond, Nina exploded. Sister? If you didn't bring it up. I almost forgot. Just you wait. She rushed inside, grabbed the pile of photos and the letter, and threw them at Nestor. The moment Nestor saw them, his expression changed drastically. This is your sister? Wedding photos, honeymoon trips, sending letters to provoke the real fiancé. Take a good look. What a wonderful sister you've got there. Nina mercilessly exposed his lie. Nestor fell silent, all his earlier confidence gone. After a long pause, he finally spoke. I'm sorry. I was in a difficult position. Victoria is someone I grew up with. She's my youth. She's too pitiful, and I couldn't let her go. The reason I said she was my sister was because I didn't want to hurt Crystal again. Nestor pressed his lips together and looked at me. I admit my mistake. I won't see Victoria again. Please don't be angry, and stop pretending to have amnesia, okay? Chapter 12. I'll say this one more time, I am not pretending to have amnesia. I've completely forgotten you. No matter what. It's over between us. I stared at Nestor and gave him my final answer. His expression shifted, but he quickly recovered from his earlier guilt. He raised the box again, confidence mixed with sadness in his voice. Crystal, I've told you before, I have absolute confidence in my product. The hypnosis device cannot fail. You're pretending. I was speechless. I called the police again. Officer, could you please hurry? Nestor could see my impatience, but he was convinced I was doing this to spite him. So he said with forced tenderness, Crystal, I can leave, but I'll do everything I can to make you forgive me. I won't give up. After saying that, he finally left, like a stubborn mule. Nina cursed him. What was the point of acting all devoted now? A self-righteous, lovesick mule. That description made me laugh, and my mood improved. A few days later, I was out shopping when I passed by Jasmine Road. A sports car suddenly stopped beside me, drawing everyone's attention. Inside the car, Nestor was dressed in a black suit. Strikingly handsome, the passenger seat was filled with flowers. I had to admit, he was very good-looking. There was a restrained elegance about him that made him stand out among countless men. Unfortunately, I felt nothing but disgust toward him. Crystal, remember this place? We met here on Jasmine Road, waiting at a red light together. He waved at me, smiling brightly, even carrying a hint of youthful charm. I paused for a moment. So this intersection was where we met? What bad luck. I quickened my pace to leave. Nestor started the car and followed slowly. Crystal, I'll take you somewhere. There's a surprise for you tonight. I shook my head impatiently. Nestor, I really don't remember anything. Just give up. I will never love you again. His smile faltered for a moment, but he still insisted. Come with me, tonight. There are blue tears at the sea. When we decided to be together, we watched them by the ocean. He stepped out of the car, looking as handsome as a groom welcoming his bride. Crystal, you once said the sea was pitiful, that even its tears were blue, and you wondered if they might be poisonous. I laughed for so long. I knew you were joking to cheer me up, but I still couldn't stop laughing. He walked toward me step by step. Tonight, let's go see the blue tears again. I don't know if the sea will be poisoned, but I swear, I'll never let you cry again. I stood there helplessly. If there weren't so many people around, I would have already caused a scene. When he came closer, I spoke firmly and decisively. Nestor, just assume I am pretending to have amnesia, whether I've lost my memory or not. I will never love you again. My body instinctively rejects you. When I saw you just now, I thought you were handsome, but my body felt a chill of disgust. Do you understand? My body rejects you. People often say love is the union of souls, but in truth, physical attraction expresses love even more directly. When you love someone, you naturally long for their body, long to be close to them, to merge with them. But with Nestor, I no longer feel that desire. Even in the dead of night, when I vaguely sense that there was once someone I couldn't live without, my subconscious still rejects him, despises him. My body understands better than I do. Some people are no longer worth loving. That's impossible. You wouldn't reject me. You once said you were physically attracted to me. You're just pretending to have amnesia. Crystal, what do I have to do for you to forgive me? Nestor couldn't accept my words. He lost control right there, his eyes turning red again, just like that night. At a time like this, why are you still so stubborn in believing I'm pretending? I turned and walked away. Leave, or I'm calling the police. Chapter 13. Nestor didn't leave. He followed me all the way back to my house. I shut the door, and he stubbornly stood outside, silent, as if waiting for me to forgive him. As the sky grew dark, he was still standing there, upright, unmoving, though his body had begun to sway slightly. The sight made me pause, as if I had seen something like this before, sometime in the past. Right then, Nina called me on video. She had gone back home earlier that morning. I told her what was happening, and she immediately complained. He's doing this again? Back then, a college intern at his lab kept trying to flirt with him. He was slow to realize it and ended up hurting you. You got mad and ignored him, and he stood outside your door all night. Back then it was kind of touching, since he was just oblivious. But this time, he went and married Victoria. That's not being oblivious anymore. Exactly. He wasn't oblivious anymore. So I ignored him. By nightfall, a sudden downpour began. After standing in the rain for half an hour, Nestor's tall figure finally collapsed into the water. He fainted. I had no choice but to open the door. If something happened to him, it would only bring me trouble. I had just opened my umbrella and was about to go help him when a car not far away opened. A thin girl in a raincoat rushed over anxiously. Her face was covered by a mask, making it hard to see clearly, but she looked vaguely familiar. Before I could take a closer look, she had already rushed forward, holding Nestor and shaking him while crying. Nestor, why are you so foolish? Do you really love her that much? Nestor had been unconscious, but the shaking woke him. He was dazed, soaked through, trembling all over. When he saw her, he immediately snapped awake. Victoria, you. It's me. I'm about to die. And I wanted to see you one last time, but you. You idiot. Can't you tell Crystal is deliberately tormenting you? She's pretending to have amnesia and ignoring you. Is a woman like that even worth loving? Victoria's eyes were filled with pain and hostility as she glared at me. Only then did I realize. It was her, the woman who sent me those photos and the letter. But judging from how energetic she looked, she didn't seem like someone in the late stage of cancer at all. You're not dead yet? I casually flicked my umbrella, splashing water onto her face. Don't worry, I won't die just to satisfy you. Victoria shot back coldly. You're selfish, petty, heartless, and you don't love Nestor at all. She accused me without restraint. If you loved him, how could you bear to keep pretending to have amnesia and torment him? How could you stand by and watch him collapse in the rain? He's such a proud man, and you've reduced him to this. Don't you feel satisfied? Her words left me speechless, because in my entire life, I had never encountered someone this completely unhinged. Nestor was silent too. I thought he was also stunned by her madness, but to my surprise, he struggled to his feet and gently wiped the mud from Victoria's forehead, full of concern. Then he looked at me, his hoarse, exhausted voice cut through the rain. Crystal. I'm tired. I'm really tired. Maybe I can't see things as clearly as Victoria, an outsider, can. This storm has woken me up. Your unreasonable behavior is colder than this rain. If you want to keep pretending to have amnesia, then go ahead. He turned around and left, together with Victoria. I opened my mouth, but no words came out. Amnesia is so painful. I'm clearly someone inside the situation, yet it feels like I've got a god's eye view. Everyone I look at seems like a complete lunatic. I just can't immerse myself in it at all. Chapter 14. This time, Nestor seemed to finally calm down, or rather, Victoria had arrived, and he had to stay by her side. In any case, I finally got some peace. Unfortunately, it only lasted 5 days before Nestor showed up again and again. Nina happened to be there too. The moment she saw him, she snapped. You lunatic. Back to standing in the rain again? Want to try the ice bucket challenge while you're at it? Nestor didn't react. This time, he was calmer than ever before, and he wasn't here to beg for my forgiveness. Crystal. Victoria can't hold on anymore. Last night, half conscious, she asked me to marry her, really marry her, not just a symbolic wedding ceremony. That instantly set Nina off. She pointed at him and exploded. What's wrong with you? Are you here to show off? Then go marry her. Who cares? Nina was afraid that I cared. Unfortunately, I didn't. I only asked, puzzled. Was there really a need to tell me? Nestor pressed his lips together slowly, suppressing a mix of loneliness and anger. With a faint self-mocking tone, he asked, so even if I marry Victoria, you still don't care? You're still going to keep pretending you've lost your memory? I've said it so many times, I'm not pretending. I genuinely don't remember you. Can you, for once, actually listen? Even I was tired of repeating it. People can lie, but machines don't. Nestor looked at me with disappointment. I've had the lab check the hypnosis device over and over again. Even today, it's still being tested, but there's nothing wrong with it. Nothing. The implication was clear. It was my fault. I was pretending to have amnesia. I was the one abandoning this relationship. I took a deep breath, rubbing my temples as I nodded. Fine, fine, fine. I'm pretending. I just don't love you anymore. I don't love you anymore. I shouted it out loud. The life seemed to drain from Nestor before my eyes, as if he had aged decades in an instant. He clenched his teeth tightly, his eyes red, wanting to speak but unable to. In the end, blood seeped from his lips, exhausted and despairing. He nodded. Fine, so you're the one who gave up on me. There was no point in arguing anymore. Everything ended here. Chapter 15. Nestor and Victoria's wedding was lavish and grand, drawing everyone's attention. As a renowned hypnotist in the field of psychology, Nestor had an extensive network. On the day of the wedding, many influential figures showed up, but people were puzzled. Why was the bride a complete stranger no one had ever seen before? I didn't care about that. Nina, however, cared a lot. She even snuck into the wedding to take a look. When she came back, she vented to me. Damn it! Victoria looks more energetic than my dog. How could she possibly have cancer? When she put it that way, I also found it strange. The last time I saw Victoria, she was running in the rain like a force of nature. Was she really terminally ill? But what did that have to do with me? As long as I was happy on my own, that was enough. Nina, on the other hand, had other ideas. Her eyes lit up, and she went off to investigate again. 2 days later, she came running back, bursting with excitement, carrying shocking news. Crystal, Victoria never had cancer at all. The hospital director is her relative. He helped her fake everything. She's seriously something, faked a cancer diagnosis and completely played Nestor. He thought she was dying, so he married her. Turns out she's perfectly fine, haha. Well, damn, that was intense. Still, it had nothing to do with me. Nina, however, thought it had everything to do with her. Grinning from ear to ear, she immediately started a video call with Nestor. You still have his WeChat? I asked, speechless. Of course. I kept it just to enjoy moments like this. Nina cackled as she continued the call. To my surprise, Nestor answered. He seemed to have just finished an experiment, still dressed in his specialized lab suit, wearing a sterile cap. His expression was meticulous and composed, as if he had returned to his old routine, but deep in his eyes, there was unmistakable exhaustion. Even after answering the call, he said nothing, just quietly looked at Nina. Nina immediately burst into laughter. Hey, Nestor, has your wife kicked the bucket yet? Or is it something like fingernail cancer? Just clip them and she'll be fine. Nestor remained calm. He silently removed his gloves and took off his cap. Victoria faked the cancer report. She played you completely. Nina dropped the bombshell, then turned the camera toward me. Come on, Crystal, let's laugh at him together. I wasn't keen on seeing Nestor and pushed the camera away, but he had already seen me. A flicker of emotion crossed his face, only to vanish instantly into emptiness again. Lowering his head, he spoke while washing his hands. I know. You know what? Nina blurted out. I know Victoria never had cancer. The moment she suddenly came back from Beijing, I figured it out. Nestor explained. I froze. So he had already realized it that day in the pouring rain? Nina was stunned. Then why did you still marry her? What's wrong with your brain? Nestor fell silent again after a long pause. He spoke hoarsely. Crystal, I want to see you. Chapter 16. Nina looked at me, silently asking for permission. After a brief hesitation, I nodded. The camera turned toward me again. Nestor stared at my face in a daze for a long time. Then he let out a heavy breath. The reason I married Victoria is because she taught me something. In marriage, compatibility matters more than love. He gave a faint smile. Victoria is gentle. She always puts me first. When I fall ill, she cries her eyes out and stays up all night. When I succeed, she cheers for me, overwhelmed with joy, even to the point of tears. I listened calmly. Nestor's eyes gradually reddened. But you, Crystal, you'd rather torment me. You'd rather watch me collapse in the pouring rain than take even a single step back. In just 3 months, things between us have come to this, even if you. His voice choked, and he couldn't continue. I'm listening. Go on, I said evenly. Nestor wiped his tears and took a deep breath. Even if you admitted you were pretending to have amnesia, if you just told me directly that you refused to forgive me, I could accept it. But instead, you chose to pretend. You used the one thing I least wanted to face to torture me, to humiliate me. He choked again, raising a hand to cover the camera. All I could see was a blur. Through that blur came Nestor's final confession. This is the difference between compatibility and love. Victoria deceived me, but she's the one who suits me. And you don't. Just as he finished speaking, someone approached him. It was probably a colleague from the lab. The person spoke excitedly. Senior Nestor, We've finally discovered a flaw in the hypnosis device. After hundreds of tests and repeated examinations, we've concluded that it's not perfectly accurate. It can be affected by the subject's emotions. What? Nestor was shocked, his voice beginning to tremble. We conducted experiments. If the subject's emotions reach a critical level of sorrow, their memory can become severely disordered or even completely disappear. And this is irreversible. It might be what people call when grief is deeper than death itself. When the heart is truly gone, the memories won't come back either. Excited voices echoed through the lab. It was a remarkable discovery, one that could significantly improve the hypnosis device. But Nestor's voice trembled even more. What are you saying? Grief deeper than death? That's mysticism, not science. You're talking nonsense. Senior, when a person suffers extreme trauma, it's possible for them to selectively forget those memories. That's not mysticism. The person stood firm. So the hypnosis device isn't omnipotent. If the subject's subconscious chooses to forget, then those memories are truly gone, because no one would willingly experience that kind of soul-crushing grief again. After those words, Nestor fell completely silent. It seemed that, at last, he realized, I hadn't been pretending to have amnesia. I had truly lost my memory, because my grief had gone beyond what a heart could bear. The moment he decided to hypnotize me, the ending had already been sealed, and I finally understood why. In the middle of the night, I would wake with tears silently falling. So, my heart had already died. On the screen, someone suddenly collapsed. Then came a shout of alarm. Senior, what's wrong with you? Chapter 17. The screen went completely black. Nina ended the call, her expression strange. Then she looked at me in surprise. Crystal, why are you crying? Huh? I wiped the corner of my eyes, and sure enough, there were tears. That was odd. Why was I crying? This kind of crying felt exactly like those times I woke up in the middle of the night, overwhelmed by an emptiness I couldn't hold on to. But this time, the emptiness was gone. I thought for a moment, then smiled in relief. It's over. What's over? Everything. I had freed myself from all the negative emotions of the past. All the things that once hurt so deeply I could barely breathe, washed away with my tears. I smiled at the sunset. It felt even more vibrant than the morning sun. The next time I saw Nestor was 3 days later. He had been unconscious in the hospital for 3 days. The first thing he did after waking up was come to find me. I had expected that he would come, so I waited for him at home. This time, when we met, he cried before saying a word, staring at me for a long time, unable to control himself. I had imagined many possibilities. That he would lose control, that he would break down, even that he might kneel and beg for my forgiveness. He might have sobbed uncontrollably, admitting he was wrong, saying he had been too stubborn, that he never imagined I would be so heartbroken that I would choose to forget him. But he did none of those things. He simply stood in front of me, without saying a single word. His pride, his courage, his confidence, all had vanished without a trace, just like my memories. Uprooted entirely. In the end, he turned around and left, tears in his eyes, like a cloud heavy with guilt, drifting farther and farther away until it disappeared beyond where I could see. When I looked up, all I could see was a vast, clear sky. Chapter 18. A few months later, Nina came down with a fever and had to go to the hospital. I went with her. While we were waiting in the corridor, a woman in a hospital gown walked past, looking dazed and a little absent-minded. I recognized her at a glance. It was Victoria. Even Nina, burning with fever, jolted upright. Holy crap! The fake cancer girl. Victoria was startled by her voice. She looked over in confusion, then asked, "Excuse me, do you know me?" "Of course I do. You're Victoria," Nina sneered. "That's great. I'm Victoria. Do you know where my family is?" "I've forgotten a lot of things. My head hurts so much." As if grabbing onto a lifeline, Victoria eagerly held onto Nina's hand. Nina was stunned. I couldn't help but ask, "Victoria, did you lose your memory?" I think so. My head hurts. It really hurts." Victoria shook her head desperately. Just then, 2 nurses hurried over and escorted her upstairs. Nina's fever seemed to vanish on the spot. She immediately turned into a full-on gossip detective, chasing after them to dig for information, and she actually got some. Crystal. This is wild. The nurse said Victoria had a fight with her husband. He accidentally pushed her. She hit her head. And now she has amnesia. Nestor caused her brain injury? Didn't Nestor say Victoria was perfect for him? Then why are they fighting? That's basically domestic violence, isn't it? Nina said, clearly enjoying the drama. But then I spotted a familiar, exhausted figure passing by the stairway. Nestor. Nina saw him too and immediately grabbed me as we chased after him. We followed him to Victoria's hospital room. The nurses had already left. Victoria sat on the bed, rubbing her head, looking completely lost. Nestor stood in front of her. His back was straight, but anyone could see he was completely drained. He looked utterly exhausted. After a long silence, he spoke hoarsely. Victoria, you're awake. I lost control earlier. From now on, you're not allowed to insult Crystal anymore. I'm the one who failed her. TCH. My brows were furrowed like I'd just seen rats mating. Victoria, sitting on the bed, looked up at him. After staring for a long time, she finally said, "Sorry, who are you?" Nestor froze. It was as if all the life had been drained out of him, leaving him with nothing at all. Chapter 19. The last time I saw Nestor was at one of my psychology lectures. I was also an accomplished psychologist, just not specialized in hypnosis. My focus had always been on child psychology. Only after the lecture ended did I notice a man sitting in the very last row. Calling him weathered wasn't entirely accurate. He wasn't old, and his clothes didn't make him look aged. But everything about him, including his eyes, was filled with deep exhaustion and sorrow. Something in my heart stirred for a moment, but I chose to ignore him. Yet when I walked out of the restroom, he was there, waiting for me. Our eyes met. There was no way to avoid him. I gave a slight nod. He tried to smile, but the moment his lips parted, his voice carried a note of grief. "Crystal, long time no see. Your lecture was excellent. Your understanding of the core issues in child psychological disorders is remarkably thorough." "Thank you." I glanced at my watch. "I have something else to attend to. I'll be going now." He opened his mouth, his voice dropping, hesitant. "Crystal, I got divorced. I miss you so much. I really do." I stopped abruptly and turned to scold him. "Mr. Nestor, please show some respect. We are strangers. Do not harass me." He stared at me blankly. Suddenly, he clutched his chest, the veins on the back of his hand bulging as his face turned pale, dry heaving. When a person is overwhelmed by grief, they can retch like this. I should be grateful I had been hypnotized by Nestor. Otherwise, during those sleepless nights, I would have been retching over and over again. "Do you need me to call an ambulance?" I took out my phone. Nestor forced the retching down and gave a pained smile, shaking his head. "I'm sorry," he said, before staggering away. I turned and left as well, like a drifting cloud, going as far away as I possibly could. Those who look up at the sky beneath me will never see me again.